I am standing in my mother's garage, staring at the key fob in my trembling hand. 3 years. 3 years of working 2 jobs of 70-hour weeks of eating plain pasta and riding the bus just to save every dollar I could. 3 years to buy this silver gray BMW that now sits before me, the car my late father always dreamed I would own. Today was supposed to be a celebration, the moment my family would finally see my success. But as I step through the doorway into the house, the air feels different, cold somehow. My sister Ashley stands beside Mom, both wearing smiles that make my stomach drop. Mom looks at me, and it is not the warm pride I hoped for. It is the smile she always gives, right before choosing Ashley over me. Before I tell you what happened next, I would love to know where you are watching from. Drop your city in the comments below. If you have ever felt like the invisible child in your family, hit that like button because you are not alone. And subscribe because what Grandpa did next, it changed everything. Let me take you back to where this all started 3 years before that crushing moment. 3 years earlier, I was 25 years old, freshly graduated from college, with a mechanical engineering degree, and $40,000 in student loan debt hanging over my head like a dark cloud. My sister Ashley, 23 at the time, had dropped out of college after her freshman year and moved back home, living rent-free in her childhood bedroom. I worked at an automotive parts manufacturing company during the day, pulling in about $50,000 a year before taxes. That sounds decent, until you factor in loan payments, rent for my small apartment across town, utilities, groceries, and the desperate need to save for something that meant everything to me, a BMW. My father passed away when I was 20 years old, and in his final months, he made me promise something. He had always driven a BMW, a modest older model. He kept immaculate. He would sit in the garage on Saturday mornings, polishing it with careful, loving hands. I can still hear his voice telling me, "Son, when you make something of yourself, you get yourself a car like this. Not to show off, but to remind yourself that hard work pays off." After he died, that promise became my North Star. So I took on a second job. Every evening after my engineering shift ended at 5, I would change clothes in my car and head to a downtown bar where I worked until 2 in the morning, serving drinks and clearing tables. Weekends meant double shifts at a family restaurant, balancing plates and forcing smiles while my feet screamed for rest. I would stumble home at 2 or 3 in the morning, catch 3 or 4 hours of sleep, then wake up at 6 to do it all over again. 70 to 80 hours every single week for 3 solid years. My monthly budget became a exercise in deprivation. Student loan payment $400. Rent for my studio apartment $850. Utilities $100. Groceries no more than $200. Which meant a lot of pasta, rice, chicken breasts when they were on sale, and sandwiches for lunch. Everything else, every spare dollar, went into my savings account labeled BMW Fund. I stopped going out with friends. When they invited me to concerts or weekend trips, I declined so many times they eventually stopped asking. I wore the same 3 pairs of jeans for years. I rode my bicycle to work when the weather allowed and took the bus when it did, not saving the gas money. The sacrifices were worth it when at 28 years old I finally walked into the BMW dealership with enough saved for a down payment. I chose a certified pre-owned 2019 3 Series in that perfect silver gray metallic that looked different in every light. When I sat in the driver's seat for the first time, my hands on the leather steering wheel, I actually cried. I called my mother immediately. "Mom, I did it. I bought the BMW, just like Dad wanted." Her response should have been my first warning. "That is nice, sweetie. Ashley is having some trouble with her car. Maybe you can help her out." I felt a small twist in my chest but pushed it away. She was probably just busy at work. She was always busy. But looking back now, I should have recognized the pattern that had been there all along. When I graduated college with a 3.8 GPA, Mom could not attend the ceremony because she had to work a shift at the hospital where she worked as a nurse. 6 months later, Ashley received a $1,500 laptop as a reward for completing her first semester with a 2.3 average. When I asked why, Mom said Ashley needed encouragement, while I was already successful and did not need the validation. My 26th birthday was marked by a simple dinner at home, just the 3 of us with no gift. I told myself that was fine, that I was an adult now and did not need presents. Then Ashley turned 24. 6 months later, and Mom threw her a party at an upscale restaurant downtown, inviting 20 people and presenting her with an $800 gold bracelet. The explanation: Ashley was going through a difficult breakup and needed to feel special. I smiled and clapped and pretended the inequality did not slice through me like a blade. When my laptop broke and I needed it for work, I asked Mom if I could borrow $500 until my next paycheck. She told me I had a good job and should figure it out myself. 2 months later, Ashley wanted $2,000 for a trip to Miami with her friends. Mom transferred the money that same day. I ended up putting the new laptop on my credit card and spending months paying it off. I kept telling myself that maybe Mom was trying to balance things, that since I was doing well, Ashley needed more help. I convinced myself that she loved us equally, but showed it differently. Deep down, though, I felt invisible, like a background character in my own family story. The BMW was going to change that. It had to. It was proof of my dedication, my success, my ability to honor my father's memory. Mom would have to be proud. She would have to see me finally. That Saturday afternoon when I drove the BMW to her house, I had it all planned in my mind. I would take her for a drive, show her the features, maybe head out to the cemetery so we could visit Dad together and I could tell him I had kept my promise. I parked in the driveway, checked my reflection in the mirror, and walked to the front door with my heart full of hope. When I opened the door and stepped inside, Ashley was standing in the living room, holding a car catalog. Her face bright with that entitled smile I knew too well. On the coffee table sat paperwork, my car registration documents, and a spare key I did not recognize. Something felt terribly wrong, but I pushed down the rising panic. This was supposed to be my moment. I stepped into the living room where Mom and Ashley sat on the sofa, both looking at me with expressions I could not quite read. The registration papers for my BMW were spread across the coffee table next to that mysterious spare key. "Mom, what is going on? Why are my car papers here?" My mother gestured to the armchair across from them. "Nestor, sit down. We need to talk." The tone of her voice made my hands go cold. I lowered myself into the chair, pulse hammering in my ears. "Ashley needs a reliable car for her new job. You know her old Honda keeps breaking down." Mom spoke as if she were discussing what to make for dinner, casual and matter-of-fact. I tried to process her words, to find the logic. "Okay, so you want me to help her find a used car? I can look at some options online tonight." My voice sounded far away to my own ears. Ashley leaned forward, that smile still plastered on her face. "Actually, big brother, Mom and I were thinking." My mother cut her off smoothly. "The BMW would be perfect for Ashley. It is safe, reliable, and she needs something dependable for her commute." I laughed. It came out strangled and strange. "Wait, you are joking, right? This is my car. I worked 3 years for this." The words felt absurd even as I said them, as if I were explaining basic reality to people who had forgotten how the world worked. Mom's expression hardened. "Nestor, do not be selfish. You have a stable job, you can save for another car." Ashley chimed in, her voice taking on a practiced whine. "Plus you live close to work. I have to drive 45 minutes each way to my new job. It is not fair that you get to have a luxury car when I am struggling." The room seemed to tilt. "Mom, this is my car. I paid for it with my own money. My name is on the title. I worked 80-hour weeks for 3 years. I tried to keep my voice steady, to be reasonable, to make them understand. And I am your mother. After everything I have done for you, you cannot do this one thing for your sister." The guilt washed over me in a wave, just as she intended. "I raised you alone after your father died. I sacrificed everything for you both." Ashley's eyes began to well with tears, though I noticed they did not actually fall. "This is not about being selfish. Do you know what the last 3 years have been? Like I described it, all the nights coming home at 2 in the morning from the bar job, only to wake at 6 for my engineering shift. The meals of plain rice, because I was saving every penny. The loneliness of watching everyone else live their lives while I worked myself into exhaustion. This car means everything to me. It was Dad's dream for me." My mother stood as well, her face flushed with anger. "Do not you dare bring your father into this. He would be disappointed in your attitude right now. Family helps family, Nestor. Ashley is your sister. If you really love this family, you will give her the car." Ashley added fuel to the fire with practiced ease. You know what? Forget it. I will just keep driving the Honda and hope I do not die in an accident on the highway. But when something happens to me, you will have to live with that guilt forever." Mom rushed to embrace Ashley. "Ashley, do not say that." Then she turned her glare on me. "See what you are doing to your sister. You are putting her in danger because of your pride." I picked up my key fob from where I had set it on the side table. "I am sorry, but no. This is where I draw the line." My voice cracked, but I held firm. My mother walked to the coffee table and picked up the spare key, holding it up like a trophy. "Fine. Then I need to tell you something. I already added Ashley's name to the insurance policy as an authorized driver. And this spare key, I got it from the dealership. I called them, told them I was helping my son with paperwork, and they made me a copy. I felt the ground disappear beneath me. What? How you do not have the authority to?" She smiled then, and it was the coldest expression I had ever seen on her face. "That BMW belongs to your sister now, Nestor. Whether you like it or not." Time seemed to stop. Ashley grabbed the spare key from the table, dangling it in front of me. "Thanks, Mom." "I knew you would understand." She actually giggled. Mom nodded at her. "Take good care of it, sweetie." I could barely form words. "You cannot do this. That is theft. I will call the police right now. Go ahead." My mother crossed her arms. "Tell them how you are refusing to help your struggling sister who needs transportation to get to work. Tell them what kind of son you are. See how that makes you look in this community." Ashley added, "Everyone will know what kind of person you really are." "We will make sure of it." I looked at my mother, this woman I had spent 28 years trying to please, trying to make proud, trying to be good enough for. She looked back at me like I was a stranger, like I was the villain in this story she had written. My legs carried me toward the garage. I had to see the car one more time. The silver-gray paint gleamed under the fluorescent lights. I placed my palm on the hood, felt the cool metal, the smooth perfection I had dreamed about for so long. My eyes burned, but I refused to let them see me cry. I walked past them without another word, pulled out my phone, and called for a ride. 20 minutes later, I was back in my small apartment, sitting on my couch in complete darkness. I did not turn on the lights. I did not eat. I just sat there as the room grew darker with the setting sun, feeling like every sacrifice I had made had been turned into a joke. The hurt was physical, a weight pressing on my chest until I could barely breathe. I did not sleep that night. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, replaying the scene over and over, searching for where I went wrong, what I could have said differently, how I could have made them understand. By morning, I was hollow. My phone buzzed with a text message. It was from Ashley, a photo of her posing next to my BMW in the driveway, throwing a peace sign at the camera. The caption read, "New ride. Thanks, Mom," followed by a red heart emoji. I turned off my phone and dropped it on the bed, unable to look at it anymore. But then, the phone rang again from an unknown number with an Arizona area code. I almost did not answer. On the fourth ring, I picked up. "Nestor. It is Grandpa Harold. I heard what happened. I am on my way." 36 hours later, there was a knock on my apartment door. I opened it to find Grandpa Harold standing there with 2 bags of takeout burgers and fries, his weathered face creased with concern. He was 75 years old, my father's father. A man who had served in the military and worked as an engineer before retiring to a quiet life in Arizona. I had not seen him in over a year. The sight of him standing there made something inside me crack open. He stepped inside and wrapped his arms around me without a word. I stood stiff for a moment, then collapsed against him, finally letting the tears come. We stood like that in my doorway for what felt like forever. When we finally pulled apart, he guided me to the small kitchen table and unpacked the food. "Eat first, then tell me everything." Between bites of a burger I barely tasted, I told him the entire story. I started 3 years back, describing the 2 jobs, the sacrifices, the relentless saving. I told him about the moment I bought the BMW, the joy that filled me, the call to Mom that fell flat. Then I walked him through what happened at her house, every word of the confrontation, the way she held up that spare key like a weapon, Ashley's triumphant smile. Grandpa Harold listened without interrupting, his jaw tightening with each detail. When I finished, his eyes were red-rimmed. Your father would be so incredibly proud of what you accomplished, son, the man you have become, the work ethic you have shown.